how to consistently sign online coaching clients. This is the number one question I get all the time. I've spoken to hundreds if not thousands of coaches, and it's always inconsistent, unpredictable, up and down months, if anything. All right, so here's the video that's going to actually really break down the number one thing that actually causes this. You need to stop doing something and start doing something else, and it's basically this. Let's dive right in. So let me go ahead and unblur this to make the great reveal. Basically, you must stop making emotional decisions and only make data-driven decisions. Now, before you click off because you're like, oh, I'm not emotional, I'm very rational, I'm logical, let me explain, because 99% of the time, like, I see business owners doing this who are under 100K a month. Like, this is the most common thing. So let me give you an example to really make this real. This is actually a real-life example of old sales call data. So basically here, what we're looking at, basically this is if they close or not. A 0, that's red, that means they did not close. A 1 with the green highlight obviously means they did sign up, they did close. So a lot of times, here's what actually happened. Here's how emotions actually manifest themselves. So for example, right here at this point in the month, about 6 calls in, we're closing 33% of deals, 2 out of 6. Not bad, I'm feeling good. There's probably like a common emotion right here. And then what happens next? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 calls in a row with no one signing up, with 0 closes, 8 calls in a row. And so the emotions here are like, what the heck? Like, I suck. Do I need to change the offer? Has the market shifted? I'm only, and, I haven't closed the last 8 deals, 8 calls. And so very common emotions here are to freak out and start making changes. All right, like literally, this is very common. You probably ask yourself, do I need to change my offer? Do I need to change my sales process? Does the market no longer like what I'm selling? You have these crazy thoughts go through your mind that aren't rational. All right, because the real thing going on here is it's only a 14 call sample size, which is not significant enough. The biggest thing, one of the biggest lessons here to stop making emotional decisions, start making data-driven decisions, is actually only making decisions based off significant sample sizes. So 14 calls, for example, is not enough. All right, or if you only take an 8-call sample size, it's just as likely this month, or whatever this data says, starts out with 8 calls in a low with 0 closes. All right, most people, most new businesses look at that 8 calls, 0 closes, they're like, oh, something's clearly broken, something's clearly not working, which could be the case. But also it could be the case that you just need more data. All right, so let's let this month play out. So 3 next calls, we actually closed 3 calls in a row. All right, and you might feel euphoric right here, like I'm back, I'm the best, I'm on a roll. When you close a bunch of deals in a row, and also even positive emotions sometimes can lead to stupid changes. Like sometimes you think you're so good where you stop following the process that actually works. You're like, I'm good, I can skip this question, I'm so good at closing. Like you just get full of yourself. And you might change your process just because of positive emotions. All right, so the month keeps on going on, steady does it, and then another streak of no's, back to the drawing board, what am I doing wrong? And then end of the month, or end of this sample size, okay, not a bad month, 31% close rate, 32 call sample size. All right, so the larger the sample size here, the more reliable the close rate becomes. All right, the larger the sample size, the more reliable the data and the metrics are. And so you can see, like, the more data you get, the more this close rate starts to really kind of tighten. 29, 31, 24, 31. It starts to really tighten the more data that we get. And that's how data presents itself. The more sample size, the more tight the data will be, the less it'll jump up and down. But if you have such a small sample size, like 5 calls, 10 calls, 14, very small sample size, it can jump around so much where you don't know what your real effective closing rate is. And this applies to everything as far as your appointment booking rate, your show rate. It could be anything in the business. So really important, only make data-driven decisions based on large sample sizes. All right, don't make decisions prematurely. All right, this can be for anything. This could be for your lead gen process, it could be for your sales process, but if you're watching this, you probably experienced this where you have that streak of no's. You have that streak where things aren't happening, but it could just be the natural distribution of data. Because like you really have to understand statistics here to make proper decisions. Like data does not present itself perfectly. So this person right here, but let's just say a 33% sample or close rate, just to simplify things. So 1 out of 3 calls at close. If that's the case, a lot of people think data will just, be, okay, lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 1, lose 2, win 1. But obviously data does not present itself that way perfectly, where it's 1 out of 3 perfectly. Like we have these streaks of 7, 8 calls where no one closes. And that's normal. That's normal distribution of data is where there's streaks. All right, so you have to know this. You have to make decisions like this. This applies to everything. All right, so this is one of the biggest lessons. And really, when you find yourself feeling these things, I feel like I suck, I feel like what I'm doing is wrong, I feel like the market has shifted. Anytime you notice yourself saying that I feel statements, please ignore it. Please do not make emotional decisions off of it. Another situation I'll bring up, I don't have a screenshot for this, but let's say, you message someone and they message you back, screw off, or they message you, hey, you need to change this outreach sucks, or this ad sucks, this content sucks, whatever it is. One prospect tells you this very negative feedback. What new coaches, what unsuccessful coaches will do is they'll make a decision based on the feedback of one prospect. You don't want to do that. All right. Like, think of the internet. Like, there are there's trolls on the internet. There's weirdos on the internet. Like, there's no reason why one random prospect should dictate what decisions you make in the business. Or again, it goes back to sample size there. So never give value to one prospect. I don't care who they are. I don't care what they say. It does not matter. All right, they can tell you the worst thing in the world. This offer is the worst ever. You're a terrible salesperson. Like, this was the worst process ever. I hate this. Like, you're never going to succeed. They can tell you that, but then you can have the next 3 people sign up. Like, one prospect determines nothing. So, like, really practice of ignore what prospects say and just listen to the data. Just see the data. Because, like, the data will tell you the answers. So it could be the case where you need to change something, but let a large sample size tell you that. Don't make a decision based off one individual prospect, because it could just be a weirdo on the internet with random stuff. All right. Same thing with good feedback. If you get one prospect that says this is amazing, the best thing ever, but then no one else is converting, listen to the data. Don't listen to just one random prospect that did end up converting. All right, large sample size decisions, data-driven decisions. That's how you need to make decisions in the business. It's the only way to win, really. But that's for the video here. So if you're an online coach and you want to install my systems for client acquisition inside of your business, you want one-on-one help as well, click the link below, or click the link in the description below. I have a video breaking down working with me one-on-one, what that looks like, what the pricing looks like, everything A to Z. So click that link if you are interested, and I'll see you there. Peace.